We don't go to sleep fighting. Yeah, that number doesn't exist.
7451319?
Yeah.
Okay, that was the number.
remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
6 girls have come. One of them is Bhavna. Which one is Bhavna? I have to figure out.
Chunky had this reputation of being a huge Casanova.
Yeah. She's the only girl I ever wanted to marry. I know my daughters. They're not easy to handle.
First year of marriage, I packed my suitcase like at least once a month.
Once a month? No, twice a month. Bhavna's packing, going to Delhi.
You know, they say that love fades away after marriage, and they also say that it's very hard to maintain relationships when you're in the film industry. But I have a couple today on all things love that proves both these facts wrong. Joining me in a conversation is Chunky Pandey and Bhavna Pandey. Welcome to Pinkola.
Hi Aina, thank
Hi.
you.
बोलते हैं आईना झूठ नहीं बोलता है, लेकिन ये आईना बहुत झूठ बोलता है हमारे बारे में.
That's not true. I'm sure the spark is still
अरे
there.
joke ये.
No, that was a little jhoot. We are like any other couple. Like the sparks come and go.
Yeah.
Sparks flying all the time.
You guys dated 24 years back, and you see relationships happening now as well. What do you think is the difference between dating then and relationships now?
The time we started dating each other, I was living in Delhi, he lived in Bombay, plus I was flying for Lufthansa, so I used to be out of the country a lot.
Yeah.
And we used to speak, we only had landlines then, so we used to speak on either STD or international calls were ISD. I'm sure even the youngsters don't know those terms anymore because everything is just one, it's a cell phone.
Yeah.
And those calls used to be very expensive.
Yeah.
Plus, even flying to meet each other was like, you needed to plan, they were not...
It wasn't easy.
It wasn't easy. You had to spend money and make an effort.
We gossip a lot. We fight a lot, like friends would. I mean,
Like before
so-
you came here, we had a rip-roaring fight, by the way.
Yeah, because I decided to get the house painted just before you all were coming. So, yeah.
And I was like, I can't take the smell of paint. So I was
Yeah.
like, why did you have to do it today? So we had a rip-roaring fight. But the thing is that we don't go to sleep fighting.
Yeah.
We make up before we go to bed,
like, yeah.
and before it turns into another day.
Right.
So you fight for a day, not 2 days.
It's got to finish off that day.
That.
Yeah, it
But
has
that's
to.
good, no?
Yeah,
कि
yeah.
तभी के तभी चीज खत्म हो जाएगी.
No baggage the next day.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
baggage the next day.
Every day is a new fight.
Yeah.
Can't fight on the same things.
And then you even forget what you actually fought about. That happened.
But that happens to me all the time. I swear, I start arguing with him, and then midway through, I'm like, what am I fighting about? Just forget it.
You said you were a Delhi girl and you were a Bombay boy. I want to know, how did you all happen to meet and connect, and what was your first conversation, if you can vaguely recollect, and how did you hit it off?
The tale of two cities.
Yeah, you can start.
Okay, I was in Delhi judging a preliminary round of Miss India. And as usual, I've always missed flights, and I missed the last flight to Bombay.
Okay.
So I came back to the hotel and didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
The organizers were there. I mean, there was Pradeep Gua from Times of India, and
Yeah.
then there was Andre Biraf from Viscraft. So the boys gang landed up in the disco downstairs called Ghungru.
Okay.
Very popular disco in those days in Delhi.
Yeah.
And then suddenly I see this beautiful girl, 2 girls in fact.
Yeah.
One was a little more beautiful, that's this one. They looked familiar to me, and they kept looking at me and smiling and looking very curiously. Not only at me, but with my friends too.
Okay.
And then one of the girls comes up to me, her friend comes up to me and says, I know who you are, but this person next to you, is he a gangster? He did happen to look like a very famous gangster, and I started laughing. I said, you expect that gangster to be here sitting with me? And that's how we got talking. I got talking to her friend, and then she introduced me to Bhavna. And there were no mobiles in those days, and we landed up taking each other's numbers.
Yeah.
Now, she gave me her number, and I actually remembered it.
Wow.
I still remember that number because I was very good at remembering numbers. There were
She said it once.
just
Yeah.
once, and I just remembered that number. It was a very easy number. Can I say it?
Yeah, that number doesn't exist.
7451319?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that was
still
the number.
remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so the night ended there. They went home, and I took the morning flight. I came back to Bombay, and 2 months later, I reached Delhi again, and I decided to call her. So I called up, and her dad picked up the phone. And I said, is Bhavna there? So he said, who's speaking? I gave another name. I don't
Yeah.
want to give my name.
Yeah.
And he says, no, she's left
So
India.
imagine we used to do all that in those days.
Yeah.
There was fear of parents and this and I don't
Yeah.
think all that happens anymore.
No, now, yeah, now it's just so easy.
Yeah.
So I called up and I said, is Bhavna there? He said, who's speaking? I said, Sunil. I gave
Yeah,
some
some
name.
other name, yeah.
And he said, no, she's left India. She's gone away from India.
Yeah.
And don't call back.
Slammed the phone down.
I said, gone away from India, don't call back. I said, God must have got married and gone away.
Yeah.
And I forgot, I mean, yeah, that was it. That whole story got over. And 6 months later in Bombay, we didn't know we had a common friend whom I told that, I'd met this girl called Bhavna. She calls me up and tells me, do you know Bhavna's in town? I said,
In Bombay.
in Bombay. So I said, really? I thought she's gone away abroad forever. So he said, no, she's in Bombay. She flies for Lufthansa and she's staying at the Hotel Leela. And that's when I called her up and we connected again.
Yeah.
And imagine if I had not missed that flight,
We wouldn't have met.
you wouldn't have been doing this
Exactly.
interview here.
Or maybe with someone else.
We wouldn't have Ananya.
Yeah.
You know, as you mentioned, like, you remembered him because he was an actor. What happens normally when you're not from the industry, you probably don't take it very seriously when an actor approaches you.
Yeah.
At what point do you start taking it seriously that he genuinely, likes you and like wants to be with you? And
I have to answer this. Let me continue with the love story. Now, this is very important as to what
One
you
dot
asked.
that had to be connected.
Dot
yeah.
that had to. So when I called her up,
yeah.
I said, hi
At the
Bhavna.
Leela Hotel.
At the Leela Hotel, this is Chunky. So, hey, you're in Bombay, let's meet. She said, no, I'm flying out tonight. But give me your number. By that time, mobile phones had come.
Yeah.
She took my number.
They'd
She says,
just come out.
just come out. She said, when I come next time, I'll surely come and meet you.
Yeah.
1 month went by. Suddenly, I get a call on my mobile from a landline and it says, hi, it's Bhavna. I said, hi, Bhavna. She said, I'm in town. I said, why don't you come for my shooting? She says, yeah, my friends are dying to watch a film shoot.
Yeah.
So I'll get my aerosters friends and we'll come to the shoot. I'm sitting, this just past lunchtime, and suddenly these 4 girls walk into the
There were
set.
more than 4. There were like 6, 7 of us.
6, 7 of them. And I kept looking Bhavna. Now Bhavna I met when it was slightly dark,
And a year back now.
And a year back.
Almost a year has passed. Yeah, in all this.
And there's no photograph, Instagram or anything to remind me about
Yeah.
her. And it was quite dark at Gunguru. I said, now these 6 girls have come. One of them is Bhavna. Which one is Bhavna? I have to figure out. Now they're all coming, walking. I'm sitting, then I stand. And then I think I recognize Bhavna, but she doesn't look like Bhavna because she's got blonde hair and blue eyes. I said, then there's Bhavna. I was like lost.
Yeah.
And then
But he guessed the right one.
I guessed the right one. I said,
He
you
went
must be
like-
Bhavna.
But that would have been a deal breaker. Huh? If he had gone with the wrong girl and said Bhavna, then maybe I would have been like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Exactly your question.
Yeah.
That I said, I know this actor. I met him a couple of times and let me call him up and let's see if he can get us to come. Because in those days to even go for a shooting was a big thing.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I thought it is never going to go anywhere. Quite
Yeah.
frankly. Because it's like, and anyway Chunky had this reputation of being a huge Casanova. Okay? You always saw in those days magazines and everything with him with different girls and or whatever, rumors and
Yeah.
so it was like just like fun. It was just like a fun evening.
That's
Till-
the way the media made me out to be. What fun.
But then, for him to call, which is also okay. But then when I went to his shoot to meet him with the girls, I just realized he's a really nice guy and a fun guy. So then we met a few times, but it was always with people. It was
Yeah.
not like he and I ever met alone.
Yeah, we were never alone. Yeah, we never really.
So I think kind of a friendship
Yeah.
happened and just having fun together.
Yeah.
And then a few times we met alone and then we started speaking on the phone and Chunky always made a huge effort. And in those days we did think of all that. It was
Yeah.
not, it would never just be a casual relationship, at least not for me.
Okay, so I've had girlfriends.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
35 when I met her, 34, 35 when I met you. I'm 12 years older than her, 11 and a half actually.
Yeah.
But she is, not to say that anything about anyone else, but she's the only girl I ever wanted to marry.
Oh.
I don't know why. It was,
Yeah.
I just knew that this is the girl I'm going to marry, but not when I just met her.
Yeah.
Way at least a year down of knowing
Yeah.
her, seeing all sides of each other.
Yeah.
And it was not more what she was, it was more what I felt towards her.
Yeah.
It's not the right, you have to be the right person. The other person doesn't have to be the right person. You should know that you'll be able to
be the right
give a good
person,
life.
yeah.
good
to
life to
the-
someone, and I just felt this is the person I want to be with, and I can be nice to this person. But like when I told her that we should get married, that's when I proposed to her. I had to do it in a funny way. So I said, you know what? You living in Delhi, me living in Bombay.
Yeah.
All these phone calls, flights, hotels, everything.
Huh.
It's too expensive a relationship.
Yeah.
Let's save money and get married.
That's why I decided to get married.
That was his proposal. He didn't know how much more expensive it's going to get once he marries me.
But coming to the marriage part of it, I want to know when you went to your parents saying that I want to get married to Chunky Pandey and he's an actor. You've also mentioned that, at that phase, you were at your lowest career-wise. And wo time pe, for your parents, it can get even more harder to give you away. What was that process like and how did you
No,
convince your parents?
I don't think that ever came to my parents' mind, honestly. That never came to my parents' mind that, he's at the lowest of his career or anything. No. There, I think apprehensions were only him being from a film family, because I come from a family of, we're like a normal middle class family, professionals, and always, being like that. And they were actually, the lowest ebb of his career and all didn't come in. It was just about being from the films, one, and secondly, the age difference. That's what they felt like. He was much older than me till they met him. Chunky himself, comes from family of doctors. From a very for my dad, I think education and all that was. But once he met Chunky, I think he completely fell in love with him. Just him, even speaking to him and telling him, guaranteeing that he's going to be able to look after his daughter very well, and things like that. They were apprehensions I think any father would have for their daughter. But of course, that whole drama happened before he met him. That oh, my dead body, you can't marry someone from the films. And when suddenly he was talking about Chunky and his affairs, and I was like, Dad, when did you ever read all these film magazines? Because, but I think it was more like a worry of a father for a daughter.
And now I want to know, as parents, what kind of a guy do you all expect for Ananya or Raisa? Like, you all must be having something in head, no?
I feel very bad for the guys.
Why?
I know my daughters. They're not easy to handle. I've been handling them all my life, so I know.
I think maybe you've just set the bar high.
Set the bar high for them, yeah. I mean, they have to be better than their dad. I've always pampered my girls and always told them to have very, very, very high standards and expect the best. And I've learned that from Bhavna actually. Because left to my own devices, I think very differently. But yeah, Bhavna has been very important in that, setting a high standard and setting the bar very high.
And not materialistic. It's just like when we're talking about setting the bar high, it's just
as a person.
So I've been watching Ananya's interviews, and I've been watching especially during this whole Geraina promotions, and it's got into a lot of the things with infidelity and things like that. And somewhere, what, I feel happy that she still believes in the institution of marriage and being together. She's still got that, because somewhere I think, she's seen her parents or even people around. So she does believe in that idea of love. She's a typical Scorpio, very loyal, very, very faithful. If she's with someone, then it's like this form, with blinkers on. Yeah.
You guys had Ananya on your first wedding anniversary, and you said that 9 months into the
9
wedding.
9 months, 9 days after we got married.
Y'all were fairly young when y'all had Ananya. How did y'all manage at that point to get into parenthood? And did y'all have disagreements? I'm sure y'all did. Even now, how do y'all manage to come on a middle ground and probably settle?
Today, if I look back, I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm so glad I had her at a young age, because today I'm 47. She's 23.
Yeah.
And I feel, it's great because we are more like friends. Yeah, which is amazing.
It happens many times. She's mistaken for Ananya's elder sister.
Yeah.
And I'm mistaken for their father.
Not rubbish. You look very young. And I think Chunky was a very supportive husband, and still now he is, in all ways with the kids. Yes, we disagree a lot on, sometimes permission and timings and those things. He's very easy. Like, he allows them to do anything.
Oh, so you're the favorite, easily.
Because I know my kids are dangerous.
I think the idea is that both should not scream. You know what happens is
both can't get angry.
Both can't get angry.
Who's the calmer one then?
He's definitely enough.
Yeah.
See, I am more like a soda bottle. I'll just burst, but then I calm down. So I think he's realized that at that time not to say anything.
Keep quiet.
I think he just lets me shout and take it out, and then he knows I'll calm down eventually.
Keep smiling. But smiling is also not good because
Which
so
Yeah,
many
that
times
would annoy you more.
So then don't smile, look away, and yeah, it'll calm down. And Bhavna does calm down.
First year of marriage, I packed my suitcase like at least once a month. to
Once a
leave.
month, no, twice a month. Bhavna's packing, going to Delhi.
But I didn't leave for Delhi. I used to just pack it.
And just pretend as if you're leaving.
No, not pretend. I used to
Okay,
be angry
actually.
to leave, but then as we said that we would never go to bed, it
Yeah.
would be like I'm leaving tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
But at night it would get set.
Then we figure out a way that she'll stay back. And
We
But
had
we
this
were really
person
trying
working
and
for us,
experimenting.
Genraj, you remember?
Yeah.
Genraj was his boy, and he would be like, "अरे अभी फिर कपड़े वापस टांगने पड़ेंगे कल सुबह."
Now that you see your daughter actually becoming a star, moving towards stardom, doing so many films, do you guys have a say in her film choices that she makes? Or how do you all go about this process? As parents, do you all ever like guide her?
You know, whenever she gets a script, I must confess, she asks us to read it. Now,
Wow.
Not that we read it all the time or.
You
of
never
course,
read it.
I,
Chunky never reads
I've,
it.
I've read just 1-2 of her scripts. Bhavna reads them. And then I take a narration from Bhavna because I'm from the old school. I like narration.
Yeah.
So Bhavna narrates it to me in her own way,
Which is very bad.
which is very bad. No, they're actually good storyteller. But ultimately, Ananya decides what to do herself. How much ever we tell her that this may be good, this may be bad, and we have to trust her choice because she's young, she's going to make a few mistakes. We
Yeah.
all make mistakes.
Yeah.
But I've just told her just take on projects which you'll enjoy
Yeah.
and take on commercial work.
Yeah.
Because I'm very
That's
much from
his
commercial cinema, but Ananya is not like that. She thinks of acting and performances. I don't know where she got that gene from. Certainly not from me because I don't believe in that gene. So we have a lot of conflict in our
Yeah.
views of cinema.
Yeah.
I'm Amar Akbar Anthony and she's a different
She's
kind
both.
of...
She's both.
She's commercial, but
She also thinks
Yeah.
a lot from a performance thing.
Point of view.
yeah, she will look more like for the performance part. I look more cinema complete should be very entertaining, you know.
Right.
Performance बाद में देखेंगे, entertainment होना चाहिए.
हाँ.
The industry has always loved him because of
How he
his
is.
nature and his humbleness and being nice to people. And that is something she has to remember. Success will come and go. She'll have a lot of hits. She'll have a lot of things that may not work also. But she has to be extremely grounded. For me, that is the most important thing, and I think she's doing a good job.
Once someone asked me, I was being mobbed by a few people, photographs were being taken, and that person asked me, don't you get irritated with all this? You know what I told the person? I said, the day this stops, I'll get irritated. So enjoy it, be nice to everyone,
And lastly, what I want to know is Fabulous Lives of Bollywood Wives changed the game for you, and I think that's where you gained your popularity. This is going to be a show based on your life and it's a reality show. I want to know what was the discussion at home, what were you contemplating, and how do you think your life has been different after doing Fabulous Lives?
I think Fabulous Lives has been amazing for me, honestly, because I really had a blast doing the show. We were all friends working together. Of course, there were a lot of apprehensions because we didn't know how people will, take to it. And obviously I have never put myself out there for judgment like that. So that was a little scary. But Chunky
Reality show.
Chunky was very encouraging. He was like, please go for it. It doesn't matter to me. But even Ananya, it was amazing because I know she's just starting out. And if I am doing something that may embarrass her tomorrow or may put her in an awkward position, but she was also like, no mom, go for it. It doesn't matter to us. I needed that backing and that confidence from my family because if they were apprehensive, I don't know if I would do it. And obviously it was Dharma and Karan. I knew he'd do it well. And
But not fair, na? Dharma's launched my daughter, my wife. Now I'm left.
Can't say that.
I told Karan this, he said I can only take 2 from a family.
The 2 are done.
So with that, before we let you go, we have a small game planned for both of you. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. I just want to see whether your answers match and whether you'll remember or no. Your first date place.
The Leela coffee shop.
Now I don't know who is right.
Yeah, Bukhara. Oh, yeah, the next day. Yeah.
Khana Sheraton.
Oh, yes, lunch we
yes.
had. Oh, see, your memory is much sharper than mine.
Yeah, she remembers.
I'm younger.
She gets.
Oh, yeah, I remember that You ate 3 plates of dal makhani. I
Yeah,
remember
I was
that.
so hungover.
First time you all had a very big fight. What was it about?
Chalo, bye, Chunky.
Okay, sure.
Him flirting with my Lufthansa friends.
Yeah, I was good at write flirting actually.
Yeah.
Bhavna. Okay, let me write this. Bhavna.
Now she's got the
No,
point.
wait. Imagining.
Me flirting.
The first impression Bhavna had of
I had
Chunky.
of Chunky.
Except the fact that he was an actor.
No, I just did it.
Big flirt.
You
Shut up.
flirted with me also, na?
Okay, first gift Chunky sir gave you.
Oh.
Oh, I'll tell you. See, materialistic things I always remember. Yeah.
Oh, mobile phone.
Yeah.
I
They had just come out.
Was it after marriage?
Just before we got married.
Yeah.
Oh, so that you all could
so
be
in
in
those
touch?
days, getting a mobile phone was a
Big thing.
big thing. And
Yeah.
he was one of the first people to get it.
Yeah.
And then once we decided to get married, he got me one.
First vacation you all did together.
Oh,
Where was it?
Wait.
but really, you need badams from tomorrow.
Hyderabad, yeah.
No, what happened?
Yeah, for that wedding. Then?
New York.
Oh, yeah.
He needs almonds.
Shit, New York, yeah. Actually,
I'm gonna give.
I had gone for a holiday with my best friend Ivy, and he said he had work because he just wanted to come and hang out, and but he had no work.
yeah,
He
I
just
just
needed to actually
hang.
with us.
And the first was New York.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'd gone with my friend.
crazy place.
Yeah,
And I chased her there.
yeah.
Chased her
That day
down
he
there.
chased. But you know what the sweetest was? So me and
Yeah.
I was flying back economy, because obviously
Yeah.
and he was sitting in
Business.
business when we were flying back. It was a long flight. And so he came at the back and the passenger was sitting next to me. He requested the passenger if they'd like to move to business. So he went in front and he sat with me through the flight back.
And no one refunded my money also.
But for what? You've given someone your seat.
Yeah, that was the effort I think you're talking
He
about.
was like, "Are you sure?" And he was like, "Yes, I want to sit with her. I am sure."
What about Chunky sir annoys?
That's true. My dress sense.
Oh,
Too long in the bathroom. Oh yeah, I know this bathroom story.
Yeah. Too
No,
long.
but even my dress sense, Bhavna, how much she made me change 3 outfits.
You know what he wanted to wear? He wanted to wear a neon green shirt with multicolored feathers on it.
Yeah.
I was like,
So
no.
cool, so
I said,
cool.
please wear that in your solo interview, not with me.
Such a cool shirt, and I wanted to give this line like all these feathers, and I still can't fly. Like
No, you know, on these lines, your interview people would have said skip next one.
Let me at least get the shirt and show it to her.
No, nobody wants to see that. Wear it for an interview and say, I was
A
supposed
solo
to
one
wear- yeah.
probably.
Yeah, Pink will I'll do a solo with me.
Yeah.
Chalo,
We'll do
karte.
best lines of Aakhri Pasta.
Akhri
Oh, yeah.
pasta. Mamma mia.
Yeah. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, and
Thank
enjoy Here I Am.